Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for coming out. This is going to be our first of several series on the College 101 search. So we did one this morning, just going to do a repeat of the same thing that we did, okay? We're going to also be doing a lot more series based on like GA Futures, Georgia Match, Georgia Reach, kind of narrowing down the search. We're going to talk about applications as well, all right? So let me go ahead and grab my clicker real quick, and then we'll start. And the odds of you all winning something are very, very high. So again, this is the College Search 101, all right? So what we're going to do is understand something, that finding the right college can be a little bit difficult, okay? It is. And when you're asking yourself, it's so much to consider. So how do I begin to bring it down? And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to take that and make it into small chunks and see can we help you actually figure out the college you actually want to go to. So right now, you three, and you all back there, again, ask yourself this question. What is one goal you hope to achieve by attending college? What is one goal that you hope to achieve by attending college? Oh, come on up. Sit with this young man right here. Get you some candy and everything. So if I was to ask you right now, Diana, what's one thing you hope to achieve by going to college?
I think just leaving college with a clear understanding of what I want to do afterwards.
Awesome. What about you?
I don't want to put ways to a college degree go what I really would want to go into.
Okay.
I guess I want to learn how to be self-sufficient.
Self-sufficient. I like that. What about you? Sorry. I'll come back to you. Ladies, what did y'all want to do? What did you want to get out of college? I got candy out my mouth. A career? A high-paying job. What about you? Same? Okay, that's cool. Back to you. Communication skills. All those are great, okay? And all those goes in actually finding out what is good for you, okay? All right, so let's break this down. We're gonna talk about match versus fit and actually understanding the difference between match versus fit. So when we talk about match, okay, we're talking about do you meet what the college is looking for? And the first thing we're gonna talk about is gonna be academic credentials, GPA and class rank. So for you all that's going to UGA or wants to go to UGA now or next year, listen, bottom line is it's going to be a 4.0 to a 4.44 just to get your application looked at, okay? That's going to be the middle part right there. And then on top of that, you're going to have at least probably like a 1200 SAT, okay? Or like a 24 or 25 SAT as well. A lot of times they look for the people that's highly ranked in the class. If you don't know, I talked about this morning, if you're a valedictorian or salutatorian, for any high school in the state of Georgia, then you actually get automatic acceptance into UGA and Tech by just being the valedictorian, salutatorian. So my thing is this, if you know you already have a 3.0 GPA, I'm not saying that you will not eventually end up at UGA or Tech, but you know what? That is not what they're looking for. They are not looking for students with a 3.0 GPA. They're looking for students, top tier students with a very high GPA. Test scores, that's very important. The SAT and the ACT. During COVID, everybody kind of went away from SAT and ACTs, and if you ask me, I wish they would have stayed that way, but they're bringing them back. So Sonny Perdue, who is the chancellor of all the four-year public schools in Georgia, is slowly bringing back this SAT and ACT requirement. So right now, Georgia Tech, UGA, and Georgia College State University all require SAT scores. But coming up for the class of 2026, he's adding 4 more schools: Augusta State, Kennesaw State, Georgia Southern, and Georgia State. So that we know that if you are planning to attend one of those 7 colleges, you actually need to take the SAT or ACT. There was one this weekend. Anybody taking it here? Okay. There was one this weekend. I implore you, if you're thinking about going for one of those, go ahead and apply for the next SAT or ACT that's coming. I know ACT, I think, is next weekend. So go ahead and apply for one if you have not already done so. Yes, sir.
Where do you apply for the MAT?
So College Board for SAT and ACT.org for ACT. And talk to your counselor because there may be some waivers and stuff as well.
Okay.
They cost around $60 or $70 to actually register for them, but there are some waivers that students can get to take them for free. Good question. Extracurricular activities and special talents or achievements. No longer are the days that Penn State and Georgia Tech and UGA just want a brainiac. Like, oh, I'm super smart. Bam, I'm in. They're doing a holistic approaches. So they want to know more about you and what you're doing. They didn't build a $200 million rec center for everybody just to look at. No, they want you in there working out, enjoying the dances and enjoying recreation events and different things like that. So again, they're looking for all of these. When I talk about a holistic approach, yeah, it's the SAT and the ACT, the GPA, that weighs high on them, okay? But they also want to see your extracurriculars and everything like that as well. So again, keep that in mind. That's what we mean by match. Now, when we talk about fit, it's really, does the college offer what you need, Now, this is more focused on you. Academic programs and majors, those are key. I've advised many students. I was telling them this morning, I probably talked about 65, 70,000 people I presented to, probably around 25, 30,000 I've actually advised in my 18 years of doing dual enrollment and regular college advising and high school advising as well. You'd be surprised at the amount of students who have a dream college in mind, but their major doesn't exist there. So I'll sit down and talk with them, and they're all into wanting to be a kinesiologist and everything. The school doesn't even offer kinesiology. Nothing even close to it. Well, that's not a really good school for you, okay? Because that doesn't help you accomplish your goal. So make sure that you look at the academic programs and majors that the college is actually looking for. Support services and resources, okay? If you are a student with a 504 plan or IEP plan and you need accommodations or receive accommodations, there are colleges. UNG is a good one. Auburn is a good one. Some of the Chattanooga schools are good ones as well. They almost specialize in helping those students with accommodations. So they have robust accommodation programs and things like that. So another thing to factor in, my little niece, that factored into her. She was dyslexic, or she is dyslexic, and she wanted a really nice college, a college that had a nice Division I football team, but they also had a great accommodations department. So she actually ended up at Auburn University. Location and campus environment. That means a lot, okay? And we're gonna get to this on a couple of slides from now, but where do you wanna go to? Where do you wanna go? You wanna go to a big school or a small school? Do you wanna be in the rural areas or the urban areas? You know, that can make or break you and everything. And then the campus environment. Is it a good campus environment? Is everybody cool and lovely and stuff like that? Or is everybody just like standoffish and stuff like that? Again, that can make or break you. When I was down at Southwestern, we were a very small campus, and so it had a really family environment, okay? And then lastly, social culture and a sense of community and affordability. That last word is so important, affordability. And we're gonna get into that when we talk about cost, but that's gonna be really important too. I want you to reach for your dream school, and I want you in there, but you also have to think about realities of actually how much debt really is. And then again, that social culture and a sense of community. Maybe you want to go to a school that has a very big, robust program when it comes to minority affairs or diversity. Maybe you don't. All of that plays a role into choosing a college, all right? And then at the end of the day, finding the right college means balancing both match and fit for your unique situation. Now, let's go ahead and talk about building your college list. 3 schools, 3 types of schools. Your safety school, your target school, and your reach school. What do you think I mean by a safety school?
One that is guaranteed you'll get accepted into.
Okay, what about a target school?
Target school is like your main school that you want to go to.
Okay, and what about a reach school?
A school that's like really hard to get into, but also want to get into.
Okay, yeah.
Something that's probably like maybe a little out of your range, or like that you, like I guess for UGA, you have a lower than that, how that could reach, if you don't have 4.0, like 3.0 or something.
Exactly, all 4 of y'all are correct. So when it comes to a safety school, that means your academic profile exceeds the average admitted student. Very likely that you will be admitted, okay? Those are gonna be your open enrollment colleges that you know that you can get in, okay? Not saying it's a bad school, there are many good open enrollment schools, UNG actually. The associate programs that they have are all open enrollment. Now, it's regularly ranked high in the state and in the country in academics, but they're actually in an open enrollment school. So that's actually a safety school. And I told the group this morning, your safety school may be somebody else's target school. And their target school may be your REACH school or their REACH school. I always tell people, comparison is the thief of joy, okay? We are all in different points of our educational journey, okay? Especially when it comes to like GPA and different things like that. You may have a 4.5, you may have a 2.5. Guess what? Your target, your REACH school may be Kennesaw State, where that's his safety school, and his REACH school is MIT. That's perfectly fine, because at the end of the day, it's what makes you happy. What's the best fit for you? On average, you want to apply to 2 or 3 of those because you know that you're going to get in. Now, when we're talking about a target school, that means your profile aligns with the average admitted student, okay? Good chance based on your credentials that you will be accepted. Now, when I talk about target schools and REACH schools, safety schools, we're not really worried about getting in early, okay? But for target schools and REACH schools, remember the early action deadlines, okay? Those are probably going to be in mid-October, and all the paperwork has to be in by late October if you want to be in that pool for early admissions. Now, when it comes to REACH, and then probably 3 to 5 schools you want to apply, okay? Now, when it comes to REACH schools, again, more competitive with lower acceptance odds, your profile may be below average or the school has very low acceptance rates. And that's something to keep in mind too. Whenever you do research about these schools, you'll see that some of these schools will have 40,000 people apply. They're only looking to accept 5,000. That's a very, very low acceptance rate. Some people have in the single digits of acceptance rates. Some people have in the 50%. Anybody that applies, we're taking everybody and stuff like that, okay? But that's not going to be your REACH schools. Your REACH schools are going to be very, very limited. They're looking for a very specific group of students, okay? For those, again, just 1 to 3, okay? We're trying to help you right now break down your list from about 20, 25 colleges to around 5 or 10, and then as you go on throughout the rest of this month and next month, kind of get that down to a tight 5 schools that you might want to go to, okay? So again, safety schools, target schools, and REACH schools. So, got a question. Who wants to answer it? Raise your hand. If a school admits 15% of applicants and your stats are near their average, what type of school is this for you? Is it a safety school, a target school, or a REACH school?
REACH school?
Gotta raise your hand.
My fault.
REACH school?
REACH school.
No. Good try though. It'd be a target school, but you gave him the answer right there. It's okay though. Good answer right there. And you get my Chick-fil-A gift card. All right, there we go. Thank you. I got more questions though. We're good. Okay, so now let's talk about factors to consider. 5 factors to consider, okay? 5 factors to consider. I'll repeat that. 5 factors to consider. Size, setting, size, cost, selectivity, and academic offerings and scholarship offerings. When we talk about the setting, rural, suburban, or urban. Rural, that's going to be like UNG Dahlonega. You're out in, way up there in the country. Georgia Southwestern, where I went to school at, there's nothing down there but cotton fields and peaches, okay? It's in the middle of nowhere. Great school. But sorry. Great school, but in the middle of nowhere, okay? Then you have your suburban. Your suburban is going to be like UNG Gainesville campus, Georgia Gwinnett, okay? That's going to be in a suburban. And then you're going to have your urban campus. That's going to be your Georgia Tech, your Georgia State. You're in the middle of downtown, okay, in some of these big cities. Some of the Chattanooga cities and stuff like that. Chattanooga schools have those. Down in Miami, University of Miami, different things like that. You're in the heart. All of them have their advantages and disadvantages. When it comes to like rural, guess what? It's not going to be a lot of people out there. It's probably going to be a smaller school, okay? You're not going to have a lot of opportunities for internships in like the Big Five, we call them Power Five, like DeWitt and all them, or PricewaterhouseCoopers. They're not probably going banging down your door to be like, hey, we want to get those students and stuff like that. That's probably not the best place for you if you're looking for that. That's going to be more of an urban campus or a suburban campus, okay? But with suburban and urban come their own problems and stuff like that too. If you're a social person, guess what? You may not want to go to an urban campus, okay? It's the same thing. If you are a party person, don't go to the #1 party school in the country, okay? You know that's not going to end up well for you. So make the best decision, but rural, suburban, and urban all do have a place to play. When it comes to size, you have very small colleges, ones that are under 500 students, okay? Those are usually your private Christian colleges, okay? I didn't go to a very small school, but I did go to a small school. That's going to be between 500 and 4,000 students. My school that I went to was 2,600 students, just 2,600 students. So on average, my class size was probably around 20 students, sometimes 14, 15 students in the classroom. That's what I wanted. When I became a junior and I was only taking political science and Latin American history classes, I had 3 people in the class. It was the teacher, me, and my friend. That was it. Now, you're not going to get that at some of the other schools because they're just too big and stuff like that. But for a small school, that's what I wanted. I wanted that community feeling, a small school feel. Then you have your medium. That's going to be between 4,000 and 20,000. UNG teeter-totters on that. And the reason why I say that is because they have around 22,000 students, but they're unique. They're like Georgia State. They have 5 campuses. So UNG has 5 campuses. I think Georgia State has 6 campuses, okay? So that 22,000 for UNG is spread around. The biggest campus, not the main campus, but the biggest campus is UNG Gainesville with about 8,000 or 9,000. Dahlonega has around 6,000 or 7,000. So that puts it back into like, you know, more of the kind of smallish medium size right there because of how it's actually structured, okay? And then you're gonna have your large schools. Whenever we start talking about large and very large schools, we're talking about 40,000 plus. UGA could be large, but it's really very large. I think they have around 48,000 students that go to UGA, okay? And they're different because they're one single campus down there. Auburn, LSU has about, I think, over 50,000 students and stuff like that. That's one little single campus. That is when you're talking about your smallest classroom freshman year may be big as this room. Most of your classes, English and math and stuff like that, will be 300 to 400 people. So you can imagine right now, you're taking English and you're just like, well, there's a lot of people in here at 26. Nah, try 400. You know, that's how that's gonna be. Again, not for everyone. That wasn't for me. I didn't even try and get into some of the big schools. Even if I would have, I would have never went there. I wanted more of a small town feel. I wanted very small classrooms. So again, factors to consider. Which one do you want? Now, this is a big one right here. When we talk about costs, okay? So tuition and fees. So for tuition and fees, understand that for tuition, as long as you have Hope or Zale, you're good, okay? And I have to explain it like this. Hope always pays 100% of last year's tuition. Zale Miller always pays 100% period of tuition only. What that means is this. If Chancellor Perdue, who's over all of the USG schools, all of the 4-year public schools, Valdosta, UGA, Tech, UNG, all those kind of schools, if he decides he wants to raise tuition by 3%, that means there's going to be a 3% gap that you're going to have to pay for if you only have Hope. If he decides to raise tuition and you have Zale, it's always 100% covered, okay? That's the difference between Hope and Zale. But always remember, they only cover tuition. Fees is where everything else comes into play. Sometimes it costs $600 by itself to park at Tech per semester. Just that one fee. The other fees are going to be with housing and food. So to go to UGA costs you around $23,000 a year, okay? Now when you take out tuition because you have Hope or Zale, it's around $13,000 between fees, housing, and food. And that can go from $13,000 to $15,000, which simply means this. If you don't have any scholarships At the end of 4 years, you're going to be over $50,000 in debt by going to UGA. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit, okay? Also, books and supplies. I haven't even talked about books and supplies yet. Sometimes your books can be $300 per class. Everything leads to this: scholarships, 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 and more scholarships. Our next series is probably going to be focusing a little bit more on scholarships, and we'll have one specifically for scholarships in FAFSA, but that's going to be very important. Do not just go for the $5,000 to $10,000 scholarships. Rack up those $500 scholarships that no one's going for. Because I tell people, you may be trying to go for a $10,000 scholarship that only like 2 people are going to get in the whole country, but you have $500 scholarships that thousands of students can get. Well, guess what? If you get 10 $500 scholarships, you're in the same boat, okay? And a lot of times you're not having to write multiple essays. You just write one good essay and change the name of all of them if they're about leadership, you know? It's not like someone in California is reading an essay and comparing it with the same person that's reading it in New Jersey. No, 2 different corporations, 2 different people. They don't even care. They just want to see what you wrote, okay? And then travel expenses. And you're just like, what do you mean by travel expenses? Well, I went to Georgia Southwestern, which is 3 hours away from here. So when I came home, by the time I'm coming home and going back, that's a full tank of gas. And you would think, well, that's not that much. But then again, it depends on how many times you go home, okay? You're talking about hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars. What if you live on the West Coast and you want to come back and see your parents? That's an airplane ticket, okay? Or you're going to drive for 2 days, 2 or 3 days? What if you go up north? What if you go down to Miami or somewhere like that? Again, travel expenses. What about your daily gas mileage? Are you going to live on campus or are you going to live off campus? If you're living off campus, what if the school doesn't have transportation back and forth, like a shuttle? UGA has shuttles. But guess what? Not if you live way, way on the east side. Guess what? The bus may not go that far. So then you're having to drive to campus and different things like that. So now you got to have a parking pass, and in addition to that, you got to have gas money. So again, all of that factors in. And then lastly, but selectivity. We talked about this earlier on the target schools, but is it highly selective? Are you taking under 20%? Is it selective when about half the people apply? Or is it open enrollment? So everybody who applies gets in. You just have to say if you're going to go or not, okay? And then academic offerings and scholarship opportunities. Available majors, again, I have to repeat some things sometimes. Does the school have your major? And then be realistic, okay? I'm not trying to down any school, but tech is known for technology, okay? Engineering, physics, mathematics, business. You really wouldn't go to tech for a sociology degree. You go to UGA. So think about things like that too. Am I going to this school getting this liberal arts degree when I probably should have went somewhere else, okay? So again, think about that. Programs, research opportunities. One of my good friends was Rebecca Regal. Brilliant. Lost 3 high school matches of tennis when she played in Gainesville High. I graduated Gainesville High. There we go, go Big Red. Walked on to Dartmouth Division I team. Oh, I think Division I. She was gonna play, and then she decided, you know what, I don't wanna play. Because she was brilliant, she did actual research as a freshman. Now she is a amazing doctor, okay? But that's what she wanted to do. So again, does that college offer things like that you want to do? Or do you think that you would be wanting to get involved with? And then again, initiatives, internal scholarships. Internal scholarships are key. For UNG, there is one form. If you're a senior right now, you go on there, you go to the scholarships page. If you fill out one form, it'll tell you all of the merit-based scholarships they're going to give you, okay? A lot of schools are going to that, just for the internal merit-based scholarships. But everybody has foundations, okay? Now, the foundation scholarships are the money that the people have given back to the college. So UGA has a pretty big one. It's around $900 million. UNG has a big one, but it's around $50 million. Georgia Tech has one of the biggest in the country, has over $1 billion. And we start talking about MIT and Harvard and Yale, they have in the billions. So they can give out a lot of scholarships, a ton of scholarships, okay? I was talking to someone when I was down to Emory this summer. If you meet certain situations where you're poor and smart and you want to go to Emory at Oxford, let me tell you something. If your SAT scores and your GPA is good, it's a full ride. It's a full ride. That's how much money these schools have in their foundation. So that's something to think about as well. So again, those were the 5 factors to consider. Setting, size, costs, selectivity, and academic offerings and scholarship opportunities. Yes, sir?
Would it like also cost something to take 2 majors?
So it depends on how closely related the majors are. When you're talking about double majoring or having a major, most people have a major and a minor, but when you're talking about double majoring, as long as they are closely related, then you're pretty cool. If they're not closely related, say I wanted to be a physicist and a lawyer. My physics classes and my pre-law classes, they're not gonna overlap. If I wanted to be a physicist and a mathematician, those overlap. So you can actually borrow and use them for the same degree and stuff like that. Usually double majoring will probably add maybe a semester or 2 on. This depends on how much you want to push yourself. On average, most people take around 5 classes. If you're double majoring, you're probably going to push that to 6 or 7 so that you actually can get out in a regular time and stuff like that. But again, if it's similar, you're fine. Political science and history, fine. I switched between history to be political science, nothing ever changed really, but like 1 or 2 classes. But if I would have switched from history to business, I would have lost a lot of credits and stuff like that. Or I would have had to do extra credits because I was doing 2 majors that did not correspond with each other.
Okay.
So let's talk about how to apply to colleges, okay? So the last slide. We have 3 main ones, okay, which is going to be Georgia Futures, the Common App, and then college websites. So everyone in here has a GA Futures account, by the way, okay? You couldn't do dual enrollment without one. And then the Common App and college website. So with Georgia Futures, apply to most colleges in Georgia through this program, okay? So when you go to Georgia Futures, right at the top banner, it says college planning. When you select college planning and go down to applications, almost all the colleges, all the 4-year and 2-year colleges are on there, and some of the private colleges are on there too. You just click on apply, it will take you directly into the application, and you simply apply. The Common App is a little bit different. If you know that you have not got your selection down to like 10 or 15 schools and you want to, down to 5 schools and you want to apply to like 10 to 15 schools, the Common App can be very useful because it's just one application. They have an essay section as well, a place to report your grades, a place to report dual enrollment, a place to report your SAT and ACT grades and scores. And then whenever you're ready, you just hit that button and it will push it to all of those schools at one time. The only thing is, if it's not in a free month, they're going to cost you money and stuff like that. Right now, it costs at least $65 to apply to UGA. So when you're applying to these schools, if all of a sudden you apply to like 10 schools, you could be in a serious world of trouble on that credit card because UNG may be 40, UGA may be 65, Tech may be 75, Harvard may be 100. I mean, you gotta think about things like that. That's why you want to kind of narrow the search down, okay? But the Common App is really good. The Common App can utilize the free month of November as well, okay? But again, apply to hundreds of colleges across the United States with just one application. And then we have college websites, and that's just directly going to the website itself and applying there. You always can do that as well, okay? Now, Georgia Match. If you haven't heard about this, it's a wonderful program. So in the month of October and early October, each and every one of you, if you're a senior, will get a letter in the mail from Georgia Match and an email to your GA Futures account. It will tell you every single 2-year public school and 4-year public school in the state of Georgia that you can apply to and be accepted to. There are some exceptions. UGA does not participate, Tech does not participate, nor does Georgia College and State University. They use what we call a holistic approach, okay? And I will tell you, Augusta State, Kennesaw State, Georgia Southern, Georgia State are all bringing back the SAT. So when you take the SAT, you can have your scores automatically sent to GA Futures, or you can just pay money to have them sent to GA Futures. If you don't, because Georgia Math is tied up with GA Futures, then those schools won't be on your application either, on your admittance letter either, because those 4 schools are introducing the introducing the SAT and ACT scores back into the program. But otherwise, West Georgia, University of North Georgia, Georgia Southwestern, Wiregrass, Lanier Tech, all of those will be on that list. You utilize the month of October to research those. We're going to have some workshops in the month of October to show you how to do that. And then in the month of November, everybody on that page is free for you to apply to. It is free for you to apply to, okay? Going back to another slide, with your target schools and your REACH schools, keep in mind early action deadlines. Again, early action deadlines are going to be in October, okay? And so utilizing Georgia Match is a little bit more difficult because Georgia Match deadlines are after, well, that free month of November is after the deadline, so you wouldn't be able to use it for early action, okay? Just keep that in mind. Again, testing requirements. More and more colleges are requiring the SAT or ACT. At the end of the day, you have to read their policy, okay? All right, my bad, this is the last slide. How to learn about colleges. Campus visits, virtual tours, student conversations, admission reps. When it comes to campus visits, nothing beats going on campus. Nothing beats it. Especially if you can go for like a preview day, or you can go and stay with a friend, or you can go and have an overnight one. Those are amazing visits. I was telling students in the last session, I've had students get accepted to UGA and Georgia Tech. That was their dream school. They went, they visited, it was everything they wanted. But then their parents said, well, why don't you just maybe apply to UNG, okay? Okay, mama. They applied to UNG, and they were just like, how about you take a tour of the Dahlonega campus? They went to the Dahlonega, fell in love with it, actually decided not to go to Tech and UGA, and went to UNG Dahlonega. You have to find that right fit, but stepping foot on campus is the best way. There's also going to be virtual tours that you can take as well, okay? With the virtual tours, that's online. So a lot more people are doing this. They're even putting some AI technology in there now, so you actually can hit a button and AI will kind of guide you around the campus, okay? Student conversations, that's really important. Student conversations. We're thinking about bringing some old students back to talk to you all about what it is like to be at UGA and Georgia Southwestern and Georgia State and Kennesaw State and UNG. Because I'll tell you, when you go on the visits, it's gonna be a lot of rah, rah, yay, we're the best. But those student conversations, guess what? You can find out some things, okay? And also, if you have Instagram, the College Navigators, subscribe to them. The College Navigators, they have an amazing Instagram page. They keep you up to date with everything that's changing. The Common App changed this year. They keep you abreast of all the different things like admission rates, early decisions, and different things like that. So that's a really cool organization. It's called the College Navigators. It's on Instagram. And then lastly, admissions reps, okay? Talk to these admissions reps. When you have college fairs and everything, talk to them, but have a list of questions, okay? Campus size. What's your graduation rate? It's great that everybody wants to go to the University of Florida. It's really high selective. But how many people actually graduate? You ever ask that question sometimes in these big schools and stuff like that? How many students actually graduate? What's your, the loan debt that these students are going into? Again, if you have a school that you really want to go to and the major you want to go to, and your top position is about $75,000, but it's going to cost you $100,000 to get that degree, that's not really smart thinking. Ask those kind of questions. Do they have support services? Those are the kind of questions, anything that we talked about today, those are the kind of questions you want to ask these college reps. And this, before I go to this question right here, I want you to think about it for a second. One thing I talked about this morning is actually realizing what debt really is, okay? I am not rich, okay? I make decent, because I'm an educator, but I make decent, okay? $100,000 in debt is problematic, and here's why, okay? I always use myself as an example. My house is $2,245 a month. My car is $575 a month. My insurance is $250 a month. I'm already at $3,000 almost. That's 3 bills. My electric bill is $127 a month. My water bill is around $30 a month. My cable bill and my Google thing is around $95 to $65 a piece, okay? I'm now at almost $3,500, okay? I haven't even put a food budget in there. I haven't even put a food budget in there. My budget every month is around $4,000. If you have a job making around $50,000 or $60,000, you can't have a $4,000 budget. Now, I don't have student loans like my friends. If I had $100,000 in student loans, that is an extra $800 a month that I have to somehow figure into my budget. When if you are poor like I was in school, and you could get full payroll will pay $3,700 per semester. If I take my HOPE and I take my payroll and go to UNG Gainesville campus and stay with my parents for 2 years, I'm a bank $3,000 at least per semester. I then switch to to UGA. I graduate in 2 years, I only have about $5,000 in debt instead of $50,000 in debt. Not saying to go away from your dreams, but sometimes you have to make financial decisions, okay? Somebody tell me, what are 3 of the 5 factors to consider when choosing a college to attend?
Cost, size, and selectivity.
Love it. I'm always tripping and stuff like that. All right, before I let you go, congratulations. Again, just to sum up, remember it's about finding the right place for you. Keep an open mind. Your perfect college might surprise you. Again, you may want to go to UGA until you step foot at Georgia Southwestern. And all of a sudden you realize that I kind of like Hello Alley. Hello Alley is an amazing place at Georgia Southwestern. That's where I went to school at. It sits between the student center and the library. And it's a tradition. Every day when you walk down there, everyone speaks to you and says hello. That's a really friendly environment and stuff like that. So you never know what your perfect college may be. Get input from advisors, teachers, mentors, but at the end of the day, it is your decision. It is your decision. Visit campuses when possible to get a true feel. And lastly is this, trust your instincts about where you will thrive at. Trust your instincts where you will thrive at. This has been fun. Thank y'all. Eat all the candy you would like. We're gonna have, again, our next one. We're gonna have one on Thursday. This is gonna be dealing with time management, okay? And then I'm gonna have some next month dealing with Georgia Degrees Pay, which is gonna show you actually how to find colleges and find the debt ratio and loan ratio, looking at how different degrees pay. Thank y'all.